All right. I think it's your turn to do the intro. I think.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put my drink down. Anyways, hello and welcome to Plus 40 Thor. We are your hosts, Thor, and of course, Plus 40 Thor.
You already know.
Yeah, we already know. Of course, man. Of course. Today we're going to be talking about. Well, we're going to be playing a game. It's going to be a very uninformal game. It's a game that I looked at the other day and I was like, this would be interesting to bring to the table. So hit up Plus 44. Of course, he was very intrigued by this prospect because it is going to spark some debate, I can almost imagine. And if you guys agree, if you guys disagree, follow along in the comments section. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can outrage as you're walking down the road with your headphones in saying, mother. But anyway, the game is called Overrated, Underrated. So.
Alright, so there's no specific theme tune to this episode, so I'm gonna just let you enjoy my deep James Earl Jones type voice. You're welcome. Bye.
So, overrated, underrated. The premise is someone will present a topic, whether it's a character, a movie, a series, blah, blah, blah. The idea is that one person brings something up, the other person has to say overrated or underrated based on their own opinion. And as we all know, nerddom is a little bit of a mixed minefield in there. For those of you listening on Spotify, Joseph just basically put the screw job up to the skull and said, "Yeah, we're a little bit crazy, a lot of us. We've all got our own little gigs, of course." But the idea is that it is. I'll say something like, I don't know, Febreze.
Quality air freshener.
and Joseph will say underrated. It needs to be in every home across the UK, USA, wherever you're listening from.
Not sponsored.
But then he'll say something like, I don't know, kinetic or like something like that, and I'll say overrated, underrated, because why are we talking about biomechanics on a podcast? And that's the premise of the game. Today, we're going to be talking about characters, fictitious characters specifically, and we might throw a few swerves in about characters who are kind of blurring the lines. But I will go, then Joseph will go, and we'll talk a little bit about why we think that, or we might have a little dispute here and there. We might agree sometimes, just as we do. Sometimes we agree to disagree. But
I still haven't recovered from last week's goblet of fire incident, but we can, we live, we go.
I stand by my decision, damn it. It's looking at you guys at this podcast still going. Joseph is just not recovered from that, so
nope.
We're gonna keep it going, and we're probably gonna teeter the balance in terms of trying to keep the podcast going with this game. So I want to kick off, since I'm the one who introduced it, and also I want to get Joseph's view on this, because honestly, it's one of those characters where you either love him, you hate him. There's very little indifference for a lot of people, especially if they're a DC fan. Just gave you guys some indication of who this is. Joseph.
Well, me? Oh, I thought you
Yeah, Joseph, and you're like, overrated. So,
great start.
For those of you on Spotify, Joseph is ending himself right now, just all over it. So, my first character to present to you is Superman.
Superman. I mean, it depends on what you're looking, to be fair, because there's a lot of different portrayals, you know what I'm saying? Like, but to be fair, I'm surprised there's not been that many reboots of Superman like they've done with Spider-Man and they've done with Batman, because he's very marketable. Well, I'd say he's very marketable, and all you need is a good-looking guy with some muscles. You can make some money.
I mean, Henry Cavill.
Exactly.
Just some jobber,
I'd say Superman I'd say it's right where it needs to be at the moment.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
And I'm guessing you don't agree.
I mean, You've not asked me, Superman, so we'll refer back to you. We'll refer back to you. I'll just say, huh. I'll just.
Okay, let me throw it back to you then, Superman. What your thoughts?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I think as a character. Now, this is the thing: is that it's as a character. We're talking as a character. I'd say overrated. Overrated.
Ooh.
For those of you who are listening right now, I'm saying overrated. Now, for me, I mean, I suppose like it goes back to the whole Batman, Superman. Like I was always a Batman kid growing up, and Superman I just never really related to growing up. Never related to. I know my brother's probably laughing if he's listening to this podcast because he's like, the supreme, the athlete, the blah blah blah, like not liking Superman, but it's
Bro, I mean, come on, bonus super strength can fly, sole survivor of the planet Krypton. Who can't relate to that, bro? I mean,
who can't relate to it?
Yeah,
I mean,
who can't relate to it?
Yeah,
come on.
God,
That's the average kid on the block, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is that I think honestly though, as a big figure, like I understand why people like him. I do. I understand why. I would never put him in an underrated category though. I would say overrated, definitely overrated. I will say though, DC's Rebirth series, where they've kind of decharacterized Superman a lot more as a figure that is of hope, a beacon, so to speak. Like whenever DC gets really bad in the comics, like they always come back to Superman because it's Superman. You know, I suppose that's the same argument for Batman. Always finds a way. It's like, but how? Because he's Batman. It's the same as Superman. It's like, how come the good guys always win? Because Superman. It's like the ultimate like trump card. Like, and I'll raise you, Man of Steel. You know.
Exactly. You got a good point there. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, Joseph. Now, I'm not going to count that as one of yours because I know you were just curious. You wanted to get a conversation going, but like you go ahead. Like think of a character.
Okay, let me ask you about. I feel like a lot of people don't like this guy. I'm gonna go with another DC person.
Oh.
He's, let me just throw out there. Aquaman. What you saying?
Underrated for sure. I think Arthur Curry in like Bronze Age and Silver Age was a joke. Like I'll put my hands up and say that. Yeah, he was a joke. But have you ever seen? It might be before your time, but have you ever seen Justice League Unlimited?
No idea.
Dude, like when I was growing up, that show was on Toonami, so like the adult version of Cartoon Network, which we weren't supposed to be watching. But basically it showed Justice League Unlimited. And this was my first exposure to the animated series that was Justice League. And the Aquaman version was this badass with a mane and a beard and everything. And he had a hook for a hand. I was like, Jesus, what the? You know, like he's just great backstory, warrior king, so on. I think honestly though, like Arthur Curry is such an underrepresented Aquaman. It wasn't until Jason Momoa came along and did the character a lot more justice that I was like, yes, that's the Aquaman that I remember.
He did do well.
Definitely
did well.
Like, and I know that a lot of people like, have certain preferences for the character, but I'm just glad that he sees a lot more edge, a lot more ruthlessness that a king would have to have. You know, especially as king of the ocean or king of the sea, you know, for sure.
Yeah. I'd agree with you that. That's why I asked you, to be fair, because he's very looked down upon, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. It's a shame. Not for long, though.
Not for long.
Not for long. Right, it is my go. Let's see. Harry Potter.
Damn, that's a big one.
Yep.
That's okay. There's so many sides to this. I'm gonna say they did it right because this is hard, you know. I'm gonna go for just right again. Like he's neither underrated nor overrated in my opinion. Only because if you think about it, J.K. Rowling wrote the whole series of books. Whole movies were made to surround him. Like it's his world. It's called Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? Like some people might call it overrated, but I think it's just right because it was created to picture his battle with Voldemort ultimately. Like it's all about him and Voldemort. So I'd say he's just right where he needs to be. Like, I mean, yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts? I sense disagreement.
Oh. Nah, I think honestly, I think from certain perspectives, I agree with you. It's more for me is when he gets older that you realize how much help the guy actually needs. And when you think about how much help he's needed throughout his years and how consistent that's been, to me it's like Harry isn't really Harry Potter that everybody says he is. You know, he's a guy who has a great team around him, who has a great family vibe around him, great friends, support network. So if you were to say, like, what do you think of Harry and Co? I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're exactly where they need to be. If you said Harry himself, I'd be like, well, he doesn't live up to the hype, does he? You know, the boy the boy who lived who can take down the Dark Lord by himself. It's like, no. But like you're saying, JK didn't set it up for that. She set it up because it is about love. It is about support. It is about having people around you to help you get through these things. Similar to how her story was. That's how she concluded it. But yeah, I agree this is why I say I agree in certain circumstances, but I think if I was to look at the character himself and say, is he overrated, underrated, I'd say overrated for that reason. You know? And again, if you guys don't agree, let us know in the comment section below. You can go and say Thor is a and include whatever asterisk you are. You know, just to say, we're not sponsored by Warner Brothers, by the way. We've already mentioned like 3 characters. Yeah, not yet. Not yet. We're already sponsored like 3-4 characters like from the Warner Brothers studios, and also
we're still waiting for the paperwork to come through on that.
Exclusive announcement. But yeah, like, and we're not sponsored by Iron Brew. I just happen to have this because, you know, Scottish.
Why not? Okay, so I'm gonna throw to you Ronan, aka Kree Warlord.
Oh, damn! Right. Okay. So Ronan in the comics is a very interesting character. Roman in the movies is a bit two-dimensional.
That's the only way I know him, so I agree with you though. I agree with you.
Yeah, like, jeez. I'm gonna split it because I see him as 2 completely different characters. I know that a lot of people, if you're listening to this and know the different, you'll know what I'm talking about. Very complicated character in the comics. If we're going by movies, like specifically his appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy, then I would say, based off purely what I see in front of me, I would say underrated. Like, he comes across like a destroyer, but you never really believe that he's ever going to do it. Even with an Infinity Stone, you're kind of like, well, yeah, of course the guys are going to come in and win. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Might be just me personally, of course, but I never really thought this thing is in danger as a result of Ronan being Ronan. You know, the character himself just felt like a stroppy child. You know, so I would say for that reason, it's underrated based off of the movies. Yeah,
100%. I agree, man. Like, I think he had so much potential that they didn't fulfill in the movies. Because if you look at villains like Michael B. Jordan, they did such a good way about creating Killmonger's persona. Like, that's one cool. That's one cool guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Cool MF.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have done. I feel like they could have done so much more with Ronin. They could have made him that guy, but instead he just seemed like stroppy child, like you said, like just the guy that was under Thanos. Then obviously he took the power when he had the chance, which was predictable, and then he got defeated, which was predictable. I mean, yeah I agree 100%.
Because that's the thing as well with Ronan, is that you can kind of say that maybe it's not the guy's fault who played him, the actor. I don't think it was. I think it was between writing, and I know a lot of people are going to absolutely lose their heads by me saying this, but James Gunn was a director in this, you know, part production as well. But I think it, and here's the thing, in movies, things slip up, things happen, you know, like some characters just don't get the 5-star treatment because every character has their own place in a movie, you know. I think Ronan's, however, was meant to be two-dimensional for the sake of it being an origin story, you know. Like, it was never about Ronan, it was about Thanos, you know. Thanos was the big bad, like, you had Nebula in the background. I think because of that reason it was two-dimensional. And of course, if he's going to die anyway, so it's like, right, okay, how much character development do we really want to put into a guy that's going to get killed off in the first movie, you know? So I can see why, you know. And it's only so bless you, sweet child. But yeah, like there's an argument there, but I would say just based off his one appearance, yeah, it's just a flat, you know, flat, and anyway.
I get you.
Right. So it's good that we're finally off of Warner Brothers train.
Took a while.
Right. Okay. This one is gonna either some people are gonna be like, who, and others are gonna be like, but Joseph has just started watching The Witcher, and I know that he hasn't played the games, so I know it's coming off of the series. So I'm gonna ask him, Geralt of Rivia, otherwise known as The Witcher.
I'll play. I mean, Geralt, I mean, I'd have to say he is. Oh, that's hard. You're giving me hard ones, man. Geralt of Rivia, from what I've seen, I think he's at times right where he needs to be, but times he's underrated and at times he's overrated. You know what? It's all over the spectrum for me, because let me explain. At times he's good. He's got that dark, brooding manner of someone that's like got some major psychological issues, but just works. You know what I'm saying? Like that classic character. Like we've got the Batmans, like them guys. You know, they've got a dark past, but they're like their own side of the law, which works even better than Batman in this case, because it's not real, you know what I'm saying? It's a fictional world.
Yeah.
But he's underrated in the sense that they could have done so much more to boost his character, in my opinion. Because I think a lot of the time, Henry Cavill did the work by being strong, muscular, and good-looking. Like, the character itself just got girls, fought warriors, and could almost be seen as two-dimensional, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he could be seen as overrated because he just, at times it seemed like he was just, well, I haven't watched to the end yet, so, but I'm just thinking at times he could be seen as very too powerful, almost like there's no challenge. Like, obviously, there's struggle sometimes, but you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's just like, oh, yeah, it's going to win.
Like, Geralt wins, lol.
Exactly. Oh, no, I did not see that coming. You know what I'm saying?
My God, LA.
But yeah, I'd have to say it's all over.
I tell you what, I like that answer because it is a case of it depends on what episode you're watching, for sure, from the series point of view. And of course, like, Joseph's not finished it, so it means that like you haven't gotten to that bit yet. You know, you haven't gotten to the end where things might be coming together or they might not be. You're gonna have to stay tuned to find out. But yeah, as a character, Geralt is very complicated. He is, and like you're saying, he appears one-dimensional because if you see on the superficial side of it, he's a brooding, I'll take the coin now.
Exactly.
Guy who just bounces around, you know. he's got a code, so like a vigilante. He has his own set of laws that he abides by. But I do like that saying is that, yeah, he is two-dimensional if you have him on a superficial level. But if you kind of get to know him a little bit more, he does have the side, you know. And I love in the lore, it's Witchers don't have emotions. It's like, no, it's not that they don't have them. It's that because of the mutations, they might not necessarily know how to express them, you know, or how to, what's the word I'm looking for? How to convey them to normal people, you know, because the mutations have basically flattened them out, you know, completely rewritten them. But I was interested in your answer because I was like, okay, podcast, all on this. Nah, I'm just kidding. Or was I? But yeah, it's very complicated character. It's Geralt of Rivia. All right, Joe.
Okay, let me throw this one at you. Going with a whole different franchise.
Ooh.
Gandalf.
Oh, jeez.
Name drop. Major name drop. Like, woo, 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 woo. That's like the sirens go.
Gandalf. Oh my god. I think Gandalf is exactly where he needs to be.
How do you like them apples?
I know exactly. It's like, how you like that? I know. For those of you who don't, me and Joe have like this like background of like jokes. It's basically how you like them apples, you know? God, when did that even start? I started like semester 1, for sure.
It's been a long time.
Wow. But yeah, like I would say Gandalf is exactly where he needs to be. If you told me like a certain time and a certain place, I'd probably sway one way or the other.
Mm.
Like if you said like Hobbit time, I would have said overrated as hell. You know, the guy just didn't really do much. He was kind of like the advisor to everybody in the Delegator, but he didn't really do much else other than being in everybody's ear. You know. And then when you go to where he's captured by Saruman, and then everything after that, he's exactly where he needs to be. You know, if at times underrated because he kind of turns the tide of the war in a lot of different ways, you know. But I'd say overall, he is exactly where he needs to be as Gandalf the Grey/White. What about you?
I'd have to agree with you. It's just like Gandalf is precious, man. He's precious. Old man with a beard. He gets them started off. Like there's no storyline without him because he's always the one that brings them together. Like Bond, here's your mission, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
He is the glue. He is the glue. That's true, actually. He's the glue that forms a fellowship, and it's proven when he dies. You know. Spoiler alert.
That's true. You know, they should know by now.
They should know.
They should know.
Look, for you guys listening, anyway, if you're watching us on YouTube, welcome. If you're listening to us on Spotify, welcome to you as well. But if you haven't seen a film after 3 years, that's a hard rule for me. No.
No.
There's no spoiler warning there. You're in it. You're in it now. You've either watched it or you've completely denied yourself the right, you know, to get a spoiler flung at you, you know. So something that happened way back when, you got it coming. If you haven't seen, oh my god, if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, what are you listening to us for? Go watch. Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you though, worst spoiler I've ever received from my own brother, bro. My own brother.
Oh, dude, you told me this. I was like,
Endgame. Just.
Listen.
In it, man.
I was like, the betrayal.
From my own brother.
It's you, brother.
Oh my god. All right, so Ed, go ahead.
Ed is going ahead. Right. This one I'm a bit intrigued by because I'm like, right, I've heard certain things from Joseph before in the past. Right. So, we're going to take a little trip back to DC. Okay. And I'm going to say this guy because he's almost always a person that gets forgotten about despite being connected to our very first guy. Lex Luthor.
Ooh. In the in the movies DC have created, I'd say he's underrated. He has a lot more potential in everything else, like, because I've seen quite a few cartoons, few probably, is it just cartoons? Probably just cartoons. I feel like he'll be big in the comics. I haven't read them. But I'd say movies underrated, but cartoons he has a lot more potential. Probably overrated in the cartoon sense in those series. But yeah, because if you think about it, he's a rich guy who can build a suit and who has an annoying obsession with Superman.
Yeah.
So he's annoying. His whole foundation's a bit iffy, but it's a hard one because he's just. No, I'd say overall, I'd have to say overrated, because he's essentially an Iron Man gone bad, a DC Iron Man on the other side of the table. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Well, he just developed a fixation with Superman because, from what I've seen, he could have easily dropped Superman, lived his life very comfortably. You know what I'm saying? But he kept going back for more. Ain't gonna end up well, but yeah, I'd have to say. Thoughts?
It's funny that you say that because it is basically the premise of Lex Luthor is that Lex Luthor would actually be a bit massive contribution to humanity had he just dropped this thing with Superman. And it is ego. It is ego. It's his own ego that allows him to stay within this feud with Superman. This unbelievable, like, why? Why are you doing this? And it's because he's unbelievably jealous of this man from Krypton that supposedly trumps every little thing that he does. You know, like, you made the cure for this amazing disease. What the hell? Like, Superman came out of the sky. You know, like, it's this ego that he has that there can't be a world where Lex Luthor and Superman coexist. So I think for that reason, like, he is in certain circumstances. So in the movies, I think he's overrated like hell. he's not gonna live up to that, you know. However, and you are right, there are animated films of him, there are cartoons of him, and there are like comic books of Lex Luthor. He's ridiculously almost OP to a certain extent. Like he's got an unbelievable level of intellect that has allowed him to trade like strategic blows with people like Darkseid, who is, well, he's a god, you know. So I think for him, he is almost very underrated because a lot of people think that he's a man. What can he do? And it's like, well, he can offer the anti-life equation at certain points and certain, depending on what you listen to and what you read. He's also a guy that has taken on the Justice League single-handedly once or twice. Like you're saying, he's made this amazing suit of armor. He's parlayed with people like Brainiac, who almost would not need a guy, but in certain circumstances, he needed Lex Luthor. Like, so I think for him, he's done so much in this extended universe in the comics and the animated series, and of course, like the animated movies. I almost think he's kind of underrated because people always overlook him. It's like, oh, that's Lex Luthor, you know. That's the man. Point. That's the man who stole 40 keks, you know. Like, they think because he's a man, there's no way he can live up to being a god, so to speak. Because Superman is pretty much a god. So that's for me why I would put him as underrated. In the movies, though, I'm like, oh my god, like it was. I remember seeing him in the movies, and I was like, this is a travesty. Big no. Big no.
100%, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me throw to you. I love the name. Cole Obsidian, son of Thanos.
Oh. Cole Obsidian.
Basically the big guy.
Oh, in the movie, right?
In the
okay.
movie, yeah, in the MCU.
Because I was like, I thought his son was named Thane. Right, right. So Cole Obsidian.
To be fair, wait, go on, yeah.
Overrated as hell.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna leave it that for just saying overrated for obvious reasons.
I mean, from my point of view, I'd like to see more. I'd have liked to see more of him in his own maybe setting, maybe some type of prequel. Because to be honest, all I know is what I've seen in the MCU, so I don't know if he's adopted or if he's by blood.
He's adopted. He's adopted.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
There's like a handful that Thanos actually has as his children, like that are part of the death squad that he has, or the Black Hand, I think it's called. Like, of course, sound off in the comment section below if you're telling me I'm full of bahookie, but
Bahookie. I love that.
This is a PG friendly environment, I'll have you know. But yes, he has some children that he had born himself. One of them being Thane, and I think like one or two others. But the other ones he adopted. He took from a very young age, and he made them into weapons that he can use. You know, the true narcissist that he is. They're accessories of his self, calling them the Black Hand.
Of course.
You know, or the Fist of Thanos.
Just another Tuesday.
Yeah, just another Tuesday. But it's such an interesting story. Like the lot of them. I think that they're great. Like you're saying, they could have their own prequel. I think them as a group could have their own prequel, just like the Thunderbolts can have their own spin-off series or movie. I think yes, I think you're right in that he could have maybe more exploration, but in what we get in Infinity War, I mean,
it's not much to go off.
He barely spoke, and also he got beat every time.
That's true. That's true.
When you're meant to be like so prestigious as a part of this group that is the children of Thanos, you're meant to be like world eaters, like breakers of chain, like so much, and he ends up getting beat every other time. It's like, oh geez, you know.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. I get that.
Yes.
Eduardo.
Right. Now we're moving on to some areas where it might be challenging for Joseph, because I'm like, I've got two characters in my head right now, and they're basically like the dualities of each other. And for you guys watching and listening to this, of course, like for obvious reasons, I'm going to go for the darker one. So I'm going to go for Joseph. What's your thoughts on Jason Todd?
Jason Todd?
Yes.
Do I know who Jason Todd is? Wait.
Oh, no. Okay, guys.
Don't do this to me.
That's the end of Plus 40 Thor. Goodbye. Good night. So, Jason Todd is the second Robin.
Oh, the one that becomes Nightwing. Was that the first one? Bro, I don't know this stuff, bro. Bro, is it? I'm clueless, bro.
If you're watching on YouTube, this is all breaking down.
Wait. Wait, hold on. So does the first one become Nightwing, then the second one become? Okay, there you go.
There you go.
As you can see, I do not have much. I don't have much knowledge on this.
All right, we'll switch to another character. But for those of you who are watching this, please put in the comment section below how much blasphemy Joseph just put on notice. Jason Todd. Who's Jason Todd? Oh God. I'll try not to hold it against you much. Anyway, I'll try and stick to. I was trying to stick to the movie canon. Right. Okay. Let's see. Even better. Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn? I'm playing. You know I know who Harley Quinn is. I always like seeing Harley Quinn in the movies because it's interesting how actors are what they're gonna do. Because in a sense, she can be very easy to play because you just need to act crazy. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you can do all sorts to her because she's messed up emotionally, like seriously messed up. And Birds of Prey, I like Birds of Prey. That was refreshing. It was definitely very refreshing. And I can tell by Ed's reaction he did not like Birds of Prey. I mean,
not even remotely.
I mean, as a standalone movie, I liked it. I mean, it's a good late night movie. It's not necessarily a cinema thing. I did watch it in cinema, but I definitely liked what it was because it's very different from what DC normally do. Yeah. And it showed Harley Quinn in a new light. But as a character, I'm going to say she's overrated because essentially when you look at her whole story overall, she's just a crazy glorified girlfriend of Joker. I'd have to say overrated.
Damn.
Like, come at me, Holly. Where you at? You know what I'm saying?
But tell how you really feel, Joseph.
How you like them apples?
How you like them apples?
Oh yeah.
Like,
what do you think? I'd have to say overrated, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same, man. Like, what was it? For those of you who aren't aware, there's a game called Injustice, which is basically the same engine as Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I'd like this.
Yeah, so the idea is that you play as the heroes and they face off against each other. I can never get over the fact that I'm like, am I supposed to believe that Harley Quinn can take on Superman in a fist fight? You know, like it's certain things like that. And I'm like, and then when you see her take on people like Batman and people like Nightwing, and here's the thing, she can hold her own. Granted, that is the case, you know, like sometimes she's gotten the best of some of the Robins, you know, like she's gotten the best of certain villains in Gotham. Certain street kings, like I'm almost sure like Oliver, like he got taken down. So Green Arrow, for those of you who don't know, he got taken down by Harley a couple of times, but I'm not overly twisted on the idea that he can take on metahumans in DC universe. People who are capable of so much. I don't know where they get it from, where it's like, yeah, she could totally do that. It's like, she's got a baseball bat. She's got a mallet. What the hell is she supposed to do with this? You know, she's crazy enough to try. And that's what I love about Harley. She is crazy enough to try. But by goodness, girl, Jesus, no. Stop.
Oh my God, yes. Honestly.
But you get what I mean? It's like,
I get you.
How?
I get you, man.
But that's her perk, is that she's crazy enough to try, and that's why I think that's the endearing quality of her, is that a lot of people love her for that. It's like, my God, she's going to give her her best shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring it back to Marvel. And okay, firstly, I'm gonna say, okay, actually, no, I'll say the character first, and I'll say, I'm thinking Sharon Carter. Oh. And let me just say, that's all kinds of messed up how she and Captain America made out. That's all kinds of messed up. That's all I'm saying. They just did not go there, Marvel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no. But
why is that a problem? Why is that a problem, Joseph?
He was like Peggy, and now her niece. Like, what? No, don't go there. No, just no. Mm-mm.
No. Okay. All right.
No.
we have a differing of what's going on here. You know.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's overrated.
I would say, right. I would say exactly where she needs to be. Mostly because I know what happens to her in the comics, but also in the movie, she fulfilled her purpose. She didn't make any promises as to what she was. There was no expectations for her. Like, for those of you who haven't seen, she's also known as Agent 13. Go and check her out. She's got some interesting lore behind her. Her and Steve do have a kid.
No.
No. That
is messed up, man.
So, for those of you who are unaware, Marvel has Elseworld stories. So Elseworld stories are one-shot. Sometimes they're series. And one of them is where Agent Carter, specifically Agent 13, Sharon Carter, has the child of Steve Rogers. And he would be going on to become one of the second generation of heroes in the Young Avengers later on. So that's an interesting fact for you guys. But I think in the film, she's exactly where she needs to be because she makes no ifs, ands, or buts about what she is when she reveals herself. And she just so happens to also be the love interest of Steve Rogers for a very brief amount of time. So yeah, I think exactly where she needs to be. Yeah.
You know what's mad? She lived next door to Captain America for God knows how long, and he never realized. That's mad, you know.
He totally did. Like, when they went for that, I was like, he knew. Totally knew. He knew. He just was like, my God. My God.
God bless Steve Rogers.
I know exactly. It's like, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Oh my God, man.
I got it. I got that reference. I got that reference.
All right, Ed. Your turn.
Right. Oh, this is we'll keep it in MC. We'll keep it in MC. Ant-Man.
Oh. Okay, first off, I'm gonna say I don't like the Ant-Man movies. Like, I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this, but I just don't like Ant-Man movies. They're not in my top 10. Neither of them, I wouldn't say. I mean, I like the concepts of a guy who can go giant. Like, it's like he had to be there. Also, I don't like how much emphasis there was on him in Endgame, because without him, there's basically no Endgame, because he's the one who
pretty much
started the discussion of the time travel and all of that.
Yeah.
But I'd say he is overrated in the sense that the way he was portrayed, like, he wasn't. All the Avengers had a backstory, or when from the first few movies, they were building up their own reputation.
Yeah.
And with Ant-Man, he didn't get to anything like that because he was just in his own movies. There wasn't much interaction with the other heroes, you know what I'm saying? So, and he was just. I feel like the only reason he came into the Avengers in the first place was just because global crisis. You kind of all hands on deck kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? So, I'd have to say he's overrated because he's literally just a guy who got a suit, not even his suit, but got a suit that he could turn big to turn small. Yeah, I'd have to say he's overrated.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. Like, as much as I like Scott, I like the character of Ant-Man. When you really think about it, you're like, you're not convinced. It's a very hard sell. It's a very hard sell, Ant-Man. But I think for the same reasons, that's very true. Like, I think he's useful. I think he's a very useful person. I think he's a good addition to the Avengers as the extension of the Avengers, not necessarily as the core group, you know? But yeah, what he brings to the table is very good. But do I think he's take on the world kind of good? I'm like, you know, it's not until he got Goliath mode that I was like, okay, I see it. I see where this guy could really be useful, you know? But very much a Street King level, like a take on the robber here and there. Like that's where I see the application. And then of course the introduction of the quantum universe, which was really cool, but that wasn't Ant-Man himself, that was a part of the MCU. So yeah, I'd agree. Overrated. Okay.
I want to take this over to a little land called Westeros. Had to come in. And I'm gonna throw out Daenerys Targaryen, bro. Big name drop.
Oh my God. And of course, you're talking about the series, aren't you?
Indeed.
You're talking about the series. I'm gonna say she's exactly where she needs to be. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say she's exactly where she needs to be.
Okay. Yeah. Elaborate.
For me, yes, there's a big premise around her taking on Westeros, but I do like how she didn't exactly just show up and just, this is mine now, you know? She didn't just show up and just take everything. You got to see her grow from nothing to having to marry a Khal, to losing it all, having to adapt, taking back what's hers, like her pride, her identity, climbing all the way up, like back up again. And I'm like, holy hell, man, you got mocks, you know, and all that to get beyond the part of where you're like, how on earth are you still going? You know, like so many times where she had to adapt again, reinvent herself, adapt again, reinvent herself, and try and still have this goal of I am going to Westeros. I am going to take back my birthright. That was where I was like, I believe you. You know, like after season 3, I was like, you know, I believe you. You know, like you're gonna do it, man. Like it's just unbelievable what she did. But,
yeah, 100%. I get you. Like they did it right. Like, yeah, go on.
Exactly where she needs to be. I was just rounding off, like exactly where she needs to be for that reason.
I get you, man. Honestly, like I feel if they killed her off in like let's say season 4, they did like a Rob Stark, then I'd have said she's overrated. But when you see how it pans out, then yeah, 100%, she's where she needs to be.
It's in a lot of ways her story is a tragedy in the series. You know. I just really hope in the books it kind of plays out different. But that's a topic for another day. Topic for another day. Right. I'm gonna stick it with Westeros. Because this is interesting. Because there's so many characters that flood through my brain at the moment. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater.
Oh, I like him. He brings a very comical sense.
But
he's very, what's the word? He's very cheap, let's say.
Yeah.
Cheap. all he wants is money. Like, I honestly don't know how he did not die. That's actually mad. He should have died a long time ago.
He's a selfish man. That's why.
He is.
He's a selfish man. What is it? My brother, shout out, bro, in case you're watching this. My brother did a really cool thing in that he said, most people who die in Game of Thrones are people who don't stick to their guns. So people who just don't stick to their values, don't stick to what they believe in. They're people who defer. They're people who like come off the path. And I thought that's such an interesting like perspective. And when you look back, it's kind of true. So yeah, I think for him, he never strayed from his path, and that it was him. You know, like yeah, he cared about Jaime. Yeah, he cared about Tyrion. Wouldn't stick his neck out for them though. You know, it's
he almost killed them, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. That's how he survived. Is that he never strayed from his path, and that was it's all about me, boys. You know. But yeah, he's very overrated. He's a guy who's the right place, right time at every port of call. You know, from when he was in the Vale, like when he got on the side of Tyrion, swap side to the Lannisters again, and then basically seen out the war, seen him to fame and fortune, swap sides with the Lannisters again, and then became a lord. Like it's, yeah, like I think the guy is right place, right time, opportunist, who was just so good at just weeding between the cracks, you know. But I wouldn't say he was like anything. To be fair, I think he just did what he wanted to do, you know, and that was survive and look out for himself.
And for all of you kids watching out there, he teaches us that if you are selfish and only care about money, eventually you will get to where you need to be.
Eventually,
it all works out.
Exactly. That man survived like what 2-3 wars, you know.
Oh my god, honestly, even just the way he became knighted, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he did well. He did well for himself.
Can't hate on the guy, but he is overrated.
He is.
Can't hate on him. But
all right, let's see. Who can I?
We'll do one more each, shall we?
All right, let's do one more each. Let's make this last one a good one. I'm gonna go for. No, I'll stick with Game of Thrones. I like Game of Thrones. Let's go for. Okay, I'm gonna throw this guy at you, and you can't say he's right where he needs to be. Tyrion Lannister.
Tyrion's underrated. Underrated.
Really?
Underrated, yes.
Okay.
Tyrion has the ability to change how Westeros has either fallen, prospered, so on. The thing that I really liked about it in the series is that they made him go through almost like a crisis where he thought, well, I am just a guy who knows things, who has a way with words, blah, blah, blah. It's like, actually, no, you've kind of forged a lot of really significant events. You saw a lot of people through an incredible amount in a short space of time. Tyrion has an ability with the game that no one else has. Like, I'm willing to put my stakes on that and say Tyrion is one of those guys that I would put as the kingmaker as well as the king breaker. You know, like he has so much power as a man who had nothing, who was able to get back to his way to the hand of the king, but also he was able to invite and show someone how they can get to a point where they're sitting on a throne again. You know, Tyrion's just so damn good, and he knows it well enough to survive it. If only just. You know, like he knows it so well. So for that, I say he is very underrated because everybody just assumes he's a dwarf. You know, it's like that dwarf can shape Westeros. You know, he will never sit on the Iron Throne because he knows how the game is played. And I love that quote. It's the I know how this game is played, and that's Tyrion Lannister stating the obvious to people who aren't aware. You know, that he is a player in this game without lands, without stakes. You know, he just has a name. And yet he's one of the most powerful players in the Game of Thrones.
100% have to agree with you there. 100%. I mean, hats off to Peter Dinklage, man. Like, damn good actor.
So good.
Damn good actor.
So good.
Honestly.
So good. It's like, it's so good it hurts.
Honestly, great man. Great man. Alright, Ed, what was your last name?
I'm going to keep on Game of Thrones because we went from DC, Marvel, Harry Potter for a bit. I'm going to keep on Game of Thrones. And I'm going to say Jon Snow.
Oh. I love Jon Snow, man.
Yeah.
I love his journey, honestly. He goes from basically the bastard who no one likes in Winterfell to Night's Watch, who no one still likes, to Night's Watch, who some people like. And then he ends up somehow becoming a Targaryen. That plot twist, man. To sleep on with his aunts, like that. Like that was.
I will happily put my hand on my heart and say, saw it coming, and I'm so glad. So glad I did.
I mean, I didn't see it coming until the whole Bran's flashback and stuff, but that was when he started sleeping with his own aunts. That was some weird.
And it's the worst part that you could tell Tyrion kind of knew. He was like, do I tell him?
I'm not playing this game. You know what I'm saying?
This is a game I'm not willing to play.
But okay, I'd have to say Jon Snow is. He starts off. No, I have to say he's right where he needs to be.
Ooh.
I feel like people might say he's underrated, but he's right where he needs to be. And the way he ended off kind of annoyed me. I feel like it's what he wanted. But no. I'd have to say he's right where he needs to be. I'll put it that way.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. He was a damn good character though. Like,
oh yeah.
It's almost like, without knowing it, he was almost the main character of Game of Thrones without realizing it.
Well, it's a song of ice and fire, so technically he is.
Damn. That's true. Stark, Targaryen. Damn. I did not realize that until now. Okay.
This is why the books can be so much more elaborate.
Oh, and props to him. When he starts beating Ramsay Bolton, oh my god, yes. I'm just like, come on. That was a good. Oh,
Right.
I'll never forget that, man. Never forget it.
Yeah, you just like throwing punches like
Yeah, honestly, like, come on, don't stop. You know what I'm saying?
F him up.
That man's smile. I mean, I do not think I can meet the actor because I'll just get too pissed off at him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's just, oh, honestly. I mean, yeah, another successful episode, Ed. Another good episode. People,
like you're surprised.
you know, man, like, every week, it's natural. It's natural, man. Just another Saturday night. All right, people. It has been drinking OJ and BC with plus 40 Thor. You already know. And we will see you next week. Adios.
Adios, amigos.
And that is recording.